Hey guys, you may have noticed that we ended our last podcast season and gave you room for busy season. Well, now we are back and we are back in limited edition episodes. Unlike many brands, this podcast is 100% an open book, giving free information to really, truly help your business. Since these episodes are absolutely loaded with information, we want to make sure that every episode is as treasured as the next. And we want this information to be just as loved as the next. Doing episodes every week, I don't think gives you enough time to learn all the material and really soak it in. So, with this limited edition style, we will be able to release these episodes 1 to 2 times a month to give you time among your busy schedules to be able to really listen and soak up the information in every episode, giving you time to practice it as well. To support the podcast, visit our courses at www.nicolebruce.co for crazy in-depth learning material. Our most recent user has expressed the fun in our courses. Business fun, I know, right?
Thank you for listening to the Mentor Project, where we discuss marketing, SEO, how to go full-time in your business, and so much more. Here's your host, Nicole Bruce.
What we're talking about today is a big one. I could make a course out of it and I could make a bunch of money, blah, 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 but I'd rather help you guys. So the question today is, how do you book clients while traveling? How do you get to be traveling and actually making money along the way for weddings or for portraits? You have your road trip set, or maybe you have a destination wedding somewhere and want to pick up clients along the way. After all, destination weddings are expensive to work, though it can be pretty fun to pretend to have a vacation and post cool photos on your Instagram feed. So it's nice having some extra income covering your expenses while you're there. Or maybe you just want multiple couples in one area photographed while you're there to show your portfolio in that location and catch more couples in the future to travel there again. Is it possible to book clients along the way? Do you plan ahead or do you just YOLO while you're out there? This past month, I randomly decided one weekend that I was going to fly to Oregon. The tickets were $170 round trip nonstop from Nashville, which never happens, and it was on my bucket list to visit there. I visited pretty much every other state except the Pacific Northwest. As a photographer, you see people drooling all over the Pacific Northwest all the time, so you have to go at least one time. I booked the flight and I asked Justin if he wanted to come with me, but he said no. All right, solo trip for my soul, free vacation. I'm down for it. As my trip was literally in 5 days, I challenged myself to book up clients for my visit to pay off my entire trip, all while only working a few hours. And guess what? 2 days later, I had clients quite literally stacked up at my door wanting spots. I ended up working a total of 5 hours my entire 4-day vacation, and the rest of the time I messed around and did whatever I felt like doing in that moment. And the important thing to note here is that I know absolutely nobody in Oregon. Just yesterday, a photographer posted about how she travels the US full time and photographs people all over the nation. She books as she goes and she makes a living doing that. So the question is, how can you do this? How do you get to the point where you can travel full time and do what you love? I think the first thing to talk about here is that there's no point to get to. I think many people see a line in the sand where they can finally quote good enough to travel the country full time. But honestly, there's absolutely no line here. The line is in your mind, and that line is the only thing preventing you from traveling full time right now. Let me say that again because hopefully I literally just blew your mind. The only thing between you and traveling full time right now is you. That line in the sand is made by you. Only about 1.5 years into photography itself, I started traveling full time photographing elopements. I literally launched last September, a year ago now, and now I have 5 elopements just in this last October, traveling the country doing what I love for some rad couples. But at the point of launch, I literally had only had my camera in my hand for 1.5 years, period. Now, to say that when I first started 1.5 years earlier, I definitely had a goal in mind and I wanted to learn the camera quickly, thoroughly, and I wanted to learn the camera thoroughly and quickly. So I worked my butt off at it. I took tons of second shooting gigs and I went for it. You can be good in 6 months if you want to be. Practice is key, and so is networking and marketing. Most of the people you see preaching about their success, which honestly, I tend to stay in the shadows about myself and my successes, RIP for the PR, and actually completely suck at PR and bragging about myself. The people you see on social media posting their work and getting people drooling all over it, it's just the frequent posting that they do. The only reason they get that many likes, follows, interactions, and whoa is because they spend their life on social media. For that, they're rewarded with internet attention. The line in the sand gets jumped over when you feel like you're good enough, which hopefully is always. There is imposter syndrome where you feel like you're just never good enough. But if you have any doubts, just keep posting your awesome shit on Facebook and let people oogle all over you to help boost your self esteem. Either way, my point is you can have a crazy social audience, or you can have literally 100 follows or likes on your Facebook page. I only have 1,000, and yet I'm the CEO of one of the largest wedding photography companies in America. But guess what? When I meet people, friends, even people on the street, and I introduce myself, I never even bring that up. I just say, yeah, I'm a photographer. So don't let numbers get in your head. Okay, rant over. All of that was basically to say once you get past that stupid invisible line in the sand that you draw for yourself and the social media numbers, which don't matter at all, you can do anything you want. If you're in year 3, you can travel full time. If you're in year 10, you can travel full time. If you're in month 6, you can travel full time. So, how do you actually go about the process of finding people around the country where people don't know you at all to book as you go? Well, social media has been my go to. There are several different ways to do this, and you definitely don't need a following to do it either. Some people just do it off of referrals and don't use social media at all. So, there's multiple ways to do this. Some people do it off blogging and have SEO in a lot of areas, which can be done by blogging about each area you go to and ranking for that area. Some people use only social media. I'm not a fan, but I do use some aspects for my advantage. So I found out early on that just posting on your business page or your profile saying, hey, I'm coming here. Does anyone want to book? Doesn't really do much unless you do it absolutely constantly and you already kind of have a following. But what I do use the crap out of is Facebook groups. I'm not talking about HOF or Looks Like Film. Those are great, but again, you have to post often, and I think you need some luck involved there too. When I talk about groups, I'm probably talking about those ones you never think of. Yeah, I'm talking about those raggedy wedding or even yard sale groups in different cities. I'm probably in 500 different Facebook groups, and let me tell you, they're the bulk of my company while I'm traveling. Free marketing. I mean, who doesn't love that? Okay, so at this point, you're probably asking how I do this because you're probably telling me that you've done this a million times and it never works. So let me tell you my formula. I post some of my very best images. I keep my post very short, very sweet, not cheesy, and definitely I don't use any phrases like capturing your memories or anything like that because people have seen that 1,000 times. I keep it very unique and I let people inquire from there. Or I'll put a hooker line in there like, oh, you can have a free engagement while we visit to test us out. By the way, make sure you have rules on that so you don't get ripped off. Now, what I've actually found lately to be the absolute best is having VIP groups for your clients. So I have one for my boudoir clients, and I use that a lot in this scenario. That way you get past clients, inquiries, future clients all in one group, and they can gawk together and review your work publicly and give each other referrals, and that'll get you some bookings that way. When I travel, I bring my elopements and my engagements with me, but then I also bring my boudoir project as well. So I have a few different audiences that I'm appealing to, and that makes it easier to market as I can hit more than one audience. Either way, I get those people from a big yard sale group or wedding groups into my little personal group, and the rest pretty much happens itself. Having a website definitely helps. I always, as you probably know, recommend having a website so that you look professional to all of your future clients. This will help up your dollar value with a good website and definitely help increase bookings. If you're a social media guru and you're on it a lot, a Facebook business page with active postings and lots of good reviews can do wonders for you. I just don't ever post and I don't really pay attention to social media, so it's not really a great way for me to reach people. So, what about prices? How do prices go while you're traveling? Well, you need to figure out a goal for your traveling as far as what you need to cover that trip, and obviously make a little extra for you to pocket while you're working. I will say here that you will make more money staying at home and doing something locally, unless you're boutique style business or you work your ass off on vacation, which usually isn't my goal. Traveling and working, unless it's literally your sole income, is usually more for fun to make a little extra money and not be super rich from it. Of course, there are exceptions if it's your full time job or your boutique business and charge higher prices. I'm not saying I'm piss poor from this. If you do it right, you make a few $1,000s, but most won't make tens or $100,000 off of it, unless again, it's your full time job and your business is structured to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, for my Oregon trip, I knew that the trip was going to cost me $700. This was again scheduled just days before going, so literally my only goal at this point was to pay off the trip and have a free trip. That's it. This wasn't one for profit, and usually I make a few $1,000s when I travel for elopements or for engagements, etc. On the trip, I gave one couple an engagement for free who needed a wedding photographer. That right there would be $3,500 if they did decide to book. But since there's no guarantee they were going to book, I went ahead and brought my boudoir project with me. This is a social media project where I photograph women for a low price to help up their self esteem or maybe just help them out on a bad day. I'll probably come back to this project in a separate episode to describe it a little bit more in detail. I brought this project, photographed 4 women, and overall in the trip made about $900, covering my expenses for the trip, giving me access to future income with the wedding. I only took the one engagement because I didn't want to be too busy, and giving me a tiny bit in my pocket. Again, my goal wasn't to make money on this trip, which it usually is, but this was a super last minute freaking booking, and I just wanted to go somewhere pretty and thought, hey, why not make it a free trip? The most important part of all of this is that I planned for upselling afterwards. I always want to make sure that my session fees and my booking total covers my trip, but that all the upsells afterwards are pure income. Super easy. Income that you don't have to work for afterwards because it sells itself. So I made about $900 on the trip, but maybe I wanted to put a sale on for 10% off products. Well, there's more profit and more income that I literally didn't have to do anything except send an email out for a sale. Or maybe I wanted to upsell their full gallery for one flat price. There's more income where I literally don't have to do anything except give them the full gallery in exchange for that flat price. By the way, the only reason I'm not naming a price is because it's up to you and your cost of doing business. It could be $150, it could be $1,000. Make a plan and a timeline when you travel. Write down what time you want to work, how much time you want to work, and my goal is to make that absolutely the least amount of time possible. Get those advertisements out on those free Facebook groups. Put up a little post in your private group. Watch people flock with retainers. and then you book them and you find a cheap studio if you need to. By the way, thanks to Avay and Airbnb. Get that trip paid for in just a few hours and then enjoy the rest of your time there. Remember to grab contracts and retainers for everyone that wants to book. You want to make sure that they actually show up that day. Make sure to plant seeds in their heads about upsells afterwards so they can get to thinking about buying a little bit more from you. I used to hate upselling until I figured out how much people love seeing what you have, and honestly, they usually want more. By the way, I'm not IPS. I did all of this with my cell phone, laying in bed while planning my trip out in, again, like 2 days. Upsells, I just use my website and I use PickTime. By the way, you can totally creep on this setup on wanderlustphotoco.com, and recent galleries will show you my PickTime and my store too. Again, just remember that the prices there may not match your business model, so don't copy those. Also, don't copy my copy or wording on my website, please and thank you. This again reflects me and wouldn't match your business anyways. And last but not least, if you need any help, join my private Facebook group at Professional Photographers. Links are in my iTunes bio or at my website at www.nicolebruce.co. All right, guys, so go get your booties out there traveling and make some money. Remember that if you've been doing this 6 months or if you've been doing this 10 years, you can literally do this any day. I don't have some huge following. I don't know people in other states, and I still make this happen. See you guys next time. Thank you for listening to The Mentor Project with Nicole Bruce. Tune in next time for more on marketing, SEO, and going full-time as a creative.